with crystal chandeliers illuminating the marble floors with golden light. The Plaza Hotel glistened like a fantasy. I checked my reflection in a gilt mirror and straightened my emerald silk dress, which I had bought especially for my sister Olivia's wedding today. When I first arrived, the doorman had given me a strange look, as though he wasn't sure I belonged in such a lavish place. If only he were aware. Mom texted me, and my phone buzzed. "Where are you?" "In an hour. The ceremony will begin." I inhaled deeply before making my way to the opulent ballroom. The little wrapped box that I was holding felt heavier than it actually was. There was a key inside. The key to everything Olivia had ever desired, though not just any key. Olivia had always been the center of attention as a child. The ideal daughter. The breathtaking beauty. The sociable butterfly. She got by on her charm and good looks while I lost myself in financial papers and company strategies. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" Mom would inquire. "Olivia never has trouble making friends." Olivia was now 28 years old and getting married to Bradley Thompson, the Thompson Hotel Group's heir. Every society page in the city featured the wedding. They referred to them as the ideal pair. The union of modern beauty and old money. If only they were aware. I walked up to the bridal suite and saw the door cracked open. I could hear Olivia's commanding voice inside. "No, no, no. All of the blooms are incorrect. How much are we paying for this, do you know?" "Fix it." I gently knocked. The door opened and my mother appeared, her flawless makeup belying her tense, stressed countenance. "Finally," she remarked, examining me closely. "At least you dressed appropriately this time, Catherine." "You're late," Olivia said loudly. "Please go down and look at the place cards for me. Ensure that they are completed correctly." I suppressed a reply. Olivia was giving commands even on her wedding day. However, I was accustomed to keeping my thoughts to myself. The ballroom, with flowers spilling from every corner, was a beauty in gold and white. I walked over to the welcome table where the place cards were neatly lined up. Every name was written in perfect calligraphy using golden ink. I froze after finding my card toward the rear. I had the following instead of a table number: hall seating, service entrance. "Oh, good, you found it." Olivia was standing behind me, looking stunning in her high-end wedding dress when I turned around. Her eyes did not meet her smile. "There wasn't room at the family tables," she added in a kind way. "Don't you understand? First, we needed to seat all of Bradley's key contacts. A pleasant chair has been arranged by the service entrance. Everything will still be audible to you." My well-kept mask, which I had used for months, broke a little. "Olivia, by the garbage cans?" "Really?" She adjusted her veil and shrugged. "I suppose you aren't as important as actual relatives. Furthermore, it's not as though you had any involvement in this wedding." If only she were aware of how mistaken she was in every way. I looked down at the small gift in my hands. Inside was the key that would unlock the truth about her precious Bradley, about the Thompson Hotel Group, about everything she thought she was marrying into. I had spent the last year working, silently, systematically, uncovering every secret, every lie, every hidden debt. The Thompson empire was crumbling and Bradley knew it. He needed this marriage. Needed the connections and social status Olivia would bring to save his family's failing business. What he didn't know was that I had already bought most of their debt through a series of shell companies. What no one knew was that while they were planning this lavish wedding, I was planning something else entirely. I had intended to wait until after the ceremony to do this, quietly, privately. But standing there, holding my hallway seat assignment, something shifted inside me. "You're right," I said, my voice steady. "I don't count as real family. I never have." Olivia's smile widened. "Exactly. So you'll be fine by the service entrance." I picked up my place card, tore it in half, and dropped it on the floor. "No, I won't." "Excuse me. I'm leaving," I said, turning toward the door. "And I'm taking my gift with me." Whatever Olivia called after me. It's not like you could afford anything worth having anyway. I paused at the doorway, looking back one last time. You might want to check Bradley's phone, particularly his messages with someone named Diana at Goldman Sachs. They're very illuminating. Olivia's face went blank. What are you talking about? Ask him about the leveraged buyout, and the hidden debts, and why the SEC is investigating his father. The color drained from her face. That's not. I smiled. A real smile this time. Goodbye, Olivia. Enjoy your wedding while you can. As I walked away, I could hear her heels clicking rapidly across the marble floor, no doubt rushing to find Bradley. In about 10 minutes, she would discover that his phone was locked and he wasn't answering her calls. In 20 minutes, she would learn that Diana from Goldman Sachs had just sent an email to the entire Thompson board, detailing every fraudulent transaction she'd uncovered. And in 30 minutes, she would realize that her perfect wedding was about to become something else entirely. I stepped out into the sunlight, pulling out my phone. Time to set everything in motion. Execute Plan B, I texted to my team. And make sure the SEC gets those files within the hour. The response came immediately. Already done. Thompson stock is starting to fall. I slipped into my waiting car, finally allowing myself to relax. The doorman who had questioned my belonging was now holding the door with careful deference. Word traveled fast in certain circles. As we pulled away from the plaza, I could hear sirens in the distance. Right on schedule. The real wedding gift was about to be delivered. And it wasn't the key in the small box I still held. It was the key to understanding that actions have consequences. That appearances aren't everything. And that sometimes the person you dismissed might just be the person who brings your whole world crashing down. My phone buzzed again, a message from Diana. SEC agents just entered the plaza. Should I activate the final protocol? I smiled, thinking of Olivia's face when she realized what was really happening. Yes, I typed back. It's time everyone knew the truth. The car turned onto Park Avenue, as behind us the perfect wedding dissolved into perfect chaos. My car had barely reached Madison Avenue when the calls started flooding in. First Mom, then Dad, then a stream of family members I hadn't heard from in years. I silenced them all, watching the city blur past my window as centuries of carefully maintained appearances crumbled behind me. Turn on CNBC, Diana texted. I pressed a button, lowering the partition screen in the car. The financial news channel sprang to life, and there it was, breaking news scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Thompson Hotel Group under federal investigation. CEO arrested on fraud charges. My phone buzzed again. Olivia this time, her text almost incoherent with rage. What did you do? I could picture the scene unfolding at the plaza. SEC agents in dark suits moving through the crowd of bewildered wedding guests. Bradley being led away in handcuffs. His father already in custody in the hotel lobby. Olivia, still in her perfect white dress, watching her perfect day shatter like a crystal glass dropped on marble. Miss Harrison? My driver's voice cut through my thoughts. We're here. I looked up at the gleaming office tower that housed Harrison Global Investments. My company, though few people knew that I built it quietly over the past 5 years, hidden behind layers of holding companies and proxy directors. Diana was waiting in the lobby, tablet in hand. Her sharp suit and precise movements reflected none of the chaos we'd just unleashed. The Thompson stock is in free fall, she reported as we stepped into the elevator. Down 60% and still dropping. Our positions are exactly where we want them. I nodded. And the evidence packets? Being delivered to every major news outlet right now. The full story will break within the hour. She paused. Your family's reputation won't survive this unscathed. They sacrificed that reputation themselves, I said quietly. They just don't know it yet. My office occupied the top floor, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering a panoramic view of the city. I deliberately kept the space minimal. No family photos. No personal touches. Nothing to suggest who really ran one of the city's most powerful investment firms. Pull up the security feed, I instructed Diana. Multiple screens lit up, showing different angles of the Plaza Hotel. The chaos was spreading. Police cars lined the street. Reporters were arriving in waves, their cameras flashing like strobe lights. And there, in the middle of it all, was my sister. Olivia's perfect composure had cracked. Her veil was askew. Mascara tracked down her cheeks as she screamed at anyone who would listen. Mom stood beside her, face ashen, while Dad argued with what appeared to be federal agents. "Your sister's trying to call again," Diana noted. "This time," I answered. "How could you?" Olivia's voice was shrill, hysterical. "You've ruined everything." "No, Olivia," I replied calmly. "I just exposed the truth. Bradley's family has been running a Ponzi scheme through their hotels for years. They were using your wedding, your connections, to bring in new investors before everything collapsed. You're lying. Bradley loves me. Bradley loves your social status and your father's contact list. Check your phone. I just sent you proof. Every fraudulent transaction. Every hidden account. Every lie he told you." There was a long pause as she presumably looked at the documents. "But how did you?" Her voice had lost its edge, reality finally starting to sink in. "Remember when you told me I'd never amount to anything? That I was wasting my time with investments and financial analysis while you were building the perfect life?" I allowed myself a small smile. "It turns out all that boring work gave me exactly what I needed to see through Bradley's lies." "The SEC," she whispered. "That was you." "I've owned most of Thompson's debt for months." "I knew everything, Olivia. Every scheme, every fraud, every secret meeting Bradley had with his mistress while planning your wedding." "Mistress?" Her voice cracked. "Diana isn't just from Goldman Sachs. She's been working for me, gathering evidence, recording every conversation, including the ones where Bradley laughed about how your wedding would save his family's empire." A choked sob came through the phone. "Why?" She managed finally. "Why today? Why not tell me before? Would you have believed me? Or would you have run straight to Bradley, warning him? Letting him hide the evidence?" I paused. "And as for why today? Well, you made it clear I didn't count as family. So I stopped acting like family." Through the security feed, I watched my sister crumple onto a guilt chair. Her perfect wedding dress pulled around her like broken dreams. "What happens now?" she whispered. "Now, the Thompson empire falls. Bradley and his father go to prison. And you get to experience what it feels like to be the one nobody wants to associate with." "You've destroyed us," she said, but the fight had gone out of her voice. "No, Olivia. You destroyed yourselves. I just decided to stop protecting you from the consequences." I ended the call and turned to Diana. "Start the next phase." She nodded, fingers flying over her tablet. Within minutes, news alerts began popping up on my screens. Harrison Global Investments announcing the acquisition of key Thompson properties at fire sale prices. Our company stepping in to stabilize the situation and protect jobs. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. His message was different from the others. "We need to talk. I know what you've built." I stared at the message for a long moment. Of course he knew. Dad hadn't built his own business empire by being stupid. He must have figured it out, perhaps even suspected what was coming. "Diana," I said quietly, "get me everything we have on Harrison Industries." She looked up, startled. "Your father's company?" But that wasn't part of the plan. Plans change. I turned to look out over the city. It's time for phase 2. Because destroying Bradley Thompson wasn't the endgame. It was just the beginning. And my family was about to learn that the daughter they dismissed had become something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. A woman with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. The sun had set over Manhattan by the time my father arrived at Harrison Global's offices. The city lights sparkled below like scattered diamonds, a fitting backdrop for what was about to unfold. "Impressive," he said, stepping into my office. His bow tie was undone, hanging loose around his neck, the only sign that today's events had affected him. Though you might have chosen a less dramatic way to reveal yourself. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. Would you have listened to any other approach? He sat, his movements measured. This was Thomas Harrison, the titan of industry, not the father who had overlooked me for decades. How long have you been planning this? Which part? I turned my monitor so he could see the financial data scrolling across it. Taking down the Thompsons? Building Harrison Global? Or proving that your least favorite daughter might actually understand business? Catherine, his voice carried a warning note, the same tone he'd used when I was young and dared to challenge him. It didn't work anymore. 5 years, I said. Since the day you told me I didn't have what it takes to run Harrison Industries. Remember? Business requires instinct, Catherine, not just books and spreadsheets. He had the grace to wince. I was trying to protect you. No, I corrected. You were protecting Olivia. Everything was always about protecting Olivia, her feelings, her future, her fantasies about marrying into the perfect family. Diana appeared in the doorway, tablet in hand. The final numbers are in. Thompson Hotel Group has filed for bankruptcy. Our acquisition of their prime properties is proceeding as planned. Thank you, Diana. I watched my father's face as the implications sank in. Oh, and could you pull up the Harrison Industries portfolio analysis? His head snapped up. What? Diana's fingers moved across her tablet, and new data filled my screens. Harrison Industries' complete financial history. Every transaction. Every acquisition. Every hidden deal. You didn't think I was only investigating the Thompsons, did you? I kept my voice gentle. I learned from you, Dad. Always look at the bigger picture. Catherine, he started, but I held up my hand. 3 years ago you started moving assets into offshore accounts. 2 years ago you began liquidating major holdings through shell companies. Last year you accelerated both processes. I met his eyes. You're in trouble. The mask of corporate confidence cracked slightly. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Harrison Industries is overleveraged. The market shift you bet against happened anyway. Now you're hemorrhaging cash and looking for a way out. I leaned forward. That's why you pushed so hard for Olivia to marry Bradley. You needed the Thompson connection to prop up your empire. He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. How did you find out? The same way I built this company, by paying attention to details everyone else ignored. I pressed a button on my desk and more data filled the screens. Would you like to see what else I know? His shoulders slumped slightly. What do you want? Sit down, Dad. I waited until he did. I'm offering you a choice. Diana handed him a folder containing 2 documents. He opened it slowly, reading with the careful attention that had made him successful. A merger. He looked up sharply. You want to acquire Harrison Industries? Option 1. Harrison Global acquires your company at fair market value. You retain a position on the board, your employees keep their jobs, and the Harrison name stays intact. I paused. Option 2. I release everything I found to the SEC, and you face the same fate as Bradley Thompson's father. You wouldn't. I just destroyed my sister's wedding and had her fiancé arrested. Do you really want to test me? He stared at the documents for a long moment. And your mother? Olivia will be taken care of. The merger agreement includes provisions for both of them. I softened my tone slightly. I'm not cruel, Dad. I just wanted you to see me. Really see me. I see you now, he said quietly. God help me, I see you. He picked up the pen Diana had placed before him, then paused. The timing of all this, Bradley, the wedding, this offer, you planned it this way, didn't you? I smiled. Like you said, business requires instinct. He signed, as Diana whisked the papers away for processing. My father remained seated, looking somehow both older and more alert than I'd ever seen him. What happens now? He asked. Now you go home to Mom. Help her understand that her world hasn't ended, it's just changed. Help Olivia realize that there's more to life than appearances. I stood. And tomorrow you come back here, and we begin the process of saving everything you built. And you." For the first time, there was genuine curiosity in his voice. "What do you get out of this?" Besides control of one of the largest private investment firms in the city, I walked to the window, looking out at the empire I'd built while everyone was watching Olivia. "I get the satisfaction of knowing that the daughter you underestimated now holds the key to your survival." He joined me at the window. "I was wrong about you." "Yes," I agreed. "You were." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a news alert. Harrison Global announces acquisition of Harrison Industries. Markets respond positively. "One last thing," I said as he turned to leave. "That chair by the trash cans at Olivia's wedding, it wasn't just an insult. It was the final test. If she had shown even a moment of kindness, of real sisterly feeling." I shrugged. "This might have played out very differently." He nodded slowly. "She failed the test. They all did. Every time." I sat back behind my desk. "Good night, Dad. I'll see you at tomorrow's board meeting." After he left, Diana returned with a stack of papers requiring my attention. The merger would keep us busy for months. But that was fine. I had always preferred working to socializing anyway. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Olivia. "I'm sorry for everything. Too little, too late. But maybe, just maybe, some good would come from all this. Maybe my sister would learn what I had known all along, that true worth isn't found in perfect weddings or social connections, but in what you build with your own hands and mind." I turned back to my work, the city lights twinkling below like stars. The daughter they hadn't wanted at the wedding now owned their future. The sister they had seated by the trash now controlled their fate. And I wasn't done yet. Not even close. Because success isn't just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And I had only just begun to show what I could do. Diana cleared her throat softly. "The press is requesting statements about the merger. And your mother has been calling the office." I smiled, picking up the small gift box I'd intended to give at the wedding. Inside, the key gleamed in the evening light, no longer needed, but a perfect reminder of how far I'd come. "Tell them," I said, "that Harrison Global is just getting started." The city stretched out before me, full of possibilities. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold, it's served from the top floor of the building you bought while no one was looking. And sometimes, the sister they didn't want at the wedding becomes the woman they can't afford to ignore.